Welcome to episode 208 of the weekly Shared Security Show. And joining me this week are my infamous co-hosts, Scott Wright and Kevin Johnson.
There's always a pause
Tom.
right before you say the introduction you're going to do. And it's like this suspense builder for me. I don't know about for anybody else, but for me, it's a suspense.
This is by design, Kevin.
I know.
Because I know I see you like you're anticipating something and you don't know what it is.
Ever. I never know what it is.
You never do, but always a surprise. So welcome back, gentlemen. Another episode of the show. And
Thanks,
I did want... You're welcome. And before we start, I wanted to announce something that we've been talking about for a while, probably several years at this point, which is the shared security community. So I've been looking for a place that our listeners could go to interact with other listeners, share news stories, talk about stories from the show, and just provide more of that interactive experience, right? And also interact with us, right? Because
in person,
we do get emails and in person, right? And I know there's some podcasts are using Slack, some others are using some, Facebook, Discord, and all these other things. And so we're going to create our community on Reddit, and personally, I like Reddit a lot from just a usability and I think from a content perspective. I think they're one of the few social networks that isn't about banning keywords and things. And by the way, our YouTube channel has been shut down twice.
Yeah.
Because we've been caught up in these algorithms, right?
Nothing about the fact that Tom is, questionable guy, but
yeah, or Kevin, very questionable.
Yeah, I question me all the time.
Yeah. I mean, his tagline is professionally evil. So
that could block us right there.
Exactly.
So what is our Reddit community name?
So it's a shared security show on Reddit, and of course we'll have a link to that in our show notes, or you can just go to Reddit and search for Shared Security Show, and it'll come up. You'll see the show logo, and you can just click the join button. And we'll be posting every episode. We'll be posting the links to the stories that we talk about on the show, and you can comment on those links. You could cross post them if you're an avid Reddit user, and share the content. So
you can cross post them if you're not an avid Reddit user,
or that
just a mediocre Reddit user.
That's right. So definitely check it out. We want to see all of you there. And please provide some feedback as well. Great place to provide feedback about the show. We do get, so I'd say YouTube is probably our number one comment generator as of late, which is great too.
Yep.
But now you have another outlet, which is now Reddit. So
that should be exciting. I think it's going to be fun.
Yeah, it will be. And one last shout out. I did send out a tweet last night about subscribing to our YouTube channel. So we are at 496 subscribers as of this recording. So we're very close to hitting that 500 number. So it would be awesome if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel. Take a couple seconds. Find us on YouTube. We'll have a link in the show notes as well to our channel. And please subscribe. That helps us get to that magical 500.
Awesome.
And with that, let's talk about our first story, which really isn't a new story, I want to say. We did talk about this in the summer, which was Norton 360, the popular endpoint protection software that many people use.
Can we not call it popular? Because popular implies that people made a choice and weren't just handed a copy when they got their computer.
That still means it's popular.
No, that just means you were forced into using it. Popular, I don't know. Popular to me means people are like, you know what? I like me some Norton.
What if some people chose Norton 360, though?
Well, we can't account for taste. There are anti-vaxxers out there as well. They probably subscribe to LifeLock.
Could we call it a populist endpoint protection?
Maybe.
Oh
I don't
boy.
know.
Well, so this kind of, I saw this all over social media recently, and so Norton 360 now comes with a Cryptominer. They actually did announce this in the summer. Apparently, they only released it to a small user population, probably in more of a pilot or like the beta, right? As you see with most software products. But now this has kind of been news now, and a lot of people are surprised or shocked that why is my antivirus now, you know, crypto mining in the background of my using my computer resources to do this. And I there's a couple stories in here too. Is I think a little bit of this is overblown because a lot of people are saying I can't uninstall it. They are doing this without my permission. And what is Norton doing? And first of all, they do notify you that, hey, do you want to do this? Do you want to mine cryptocurrency in the background? They do give you details about what it does.
If you read them.
And that's, I think, a big part of the problem is people don't read the FAQs or the notices that you're getting. Like a lot of time, when we see this. So I don't know, guys, what do you think? Crypto mining, and this is not the first antivirus software doing this. Avira is another one that Brian Krebs just reported is doing something similar. I mean, what do you guys think about this?
Scott?
I think it's pretty shocking, really, for a security company to be, or a so-called security company to be trying to do things that, are, I mean, I guess they're offering to share some of the proceeds with you. Did we talk about that or not? I can't remember, but
yeah, 15%.
Yeah,
Norton keeps of the mining.
I would agree with you, Scott, as long as we keep the term security company vague. It's shocking that a security company would be this unethical, immoral, and blatantly probably illegal in some areas of the world.
Yeah.
The minute you say Norton, I immediately assume they will be unethical, immoral, and I mean, so
is it like McAfee? McAfee
I
comes to
prefer
mind.
McAfee. I prefer John McAfee to Norton.
Rest in peace. Yes.
Like, let's be very clear. There was a company, many of you have heard of them, LifeLock, that twice was told by the Federal Trade Commission, you have to give back every penny you collected because it was fraudulent. And that was enough for Norton to buy them. And honestly, this doesn't surprise me at all. I think it's disgusting. Don't get me wrong. I have no problem with, hey, we think a good idea is to do crypto mining. Your computer's idle, right? I used to run After Dark and the toaster screensavers.
SETI,
SETI.
SETI,
didn't we all run SETI? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, those are good things, and I can see some hey. We're not going to benefit the world by curing cancer or finding aliens, but we're going to collect some fake money. You want to help us out? Okay, whatever, But the idea that this to me is adware and spyware, and it is what Norton has done with this is proved the major conspiracy theory that antivirus vendors release viruses, right? And I'm not saying that it proves it that they did in the past. I'm saying they did here, right? They released malware. They pushed code down. We told you in the frequently asked questions, we told you in the terms of service, that's BS. And the reason I say it's BS is they know nobody reads that. They know nobody pays attention to that. And by default, my understanding is by default, it's turned on. You have to go turn it off, right? And that to me is a problem. If you know you have something that is going to cause concern, it should not be turned on by default.
It's just not part of a security company's value proposition, right? I mean, if I'm looking for an antivirus product or security software, I'm not looking for one that does crypto mining. Maybe that would be a nice little feature or benefit, but that's something I should know about.
And let's say if you were looking for the feature, that's great.
Yeah.
You can turn it on.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah. Like any other feature. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just, I'm not doing the bandwagon Twitter thing. Oh, they're so evil, everything else like that, because the people on Twitter who are complaining about Symantec and Norton being evil haven't been paying attention for the last 40 years or something, right?
Great point.
They've always been an immoral company. Why are we surprised by this? To me, this just is the latest in outrage that we'll forget about next week and still install it on everybody's computer, right? I Show me a change. Show me that you're actually removing it from stuff. Show me that you're actually fixing the problem, that you are allowing an organization that has access to endpoints around the world at organizations and what have you. What I'm hoping for, what I'd like to see, I just signed a contract. I just reviewed a contract with an organization, and they do government stuff. So we had to agree to these contracts. And one of the things that was called out was that we would not run Kaspersky software because the U.S. federal government does not allow Kaspersky software. I'm not agreeing or disagreeing. I'm just saying that's what they do. That's a fact. I want Norton added to that list.
Mm-hmm.
I want the federal government to show they actually pay attention and add Norton to the list of don't run this software if you want to do stuff with the U.S. government. This is sick, in my opinion.
Kevin feels
Sorry,
very strongly.
It pisses me off.
It's not exactly the evolution we kind of expected from the security software industry.
No, it's well, I don't know.
Well,
it's what we expected from Norton.
Well, let's be honest. It's a money play, right?
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
It absolutely is.
Yeah. So
Microsoft Defender forced Norton to move into crypto mining.
Yeah.
That's what we'll see in the antitrust lawsuit, is that it's Microsoft Defender's fault that Norton had to add malware to their product.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, it's unfortunately starting to, another antivirus company, Avira, just announced they're doing the same thing. So I'm wondering if this is now the start of a unfortunate trend in endpoint protection software.
That's because we'll have outrage, but no actual action.
That's right.
I mean, it wasn't that long ago where you could download a free version of Avast or AVG, and it would run, it would work well, but you got a whole bunch of other software with it, right?
And you got ads.
Ads, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds like Java.
Does seem like Java, doesn't it? How interesting.
We got to find a way to make money somehow, right?
That's right. So moving on, let's go to our new Aware Much segment with Scott Wright. And I do want to state before I hand it over to Scott that this new segment is brought to you by ClickArmor, which is the gamified learning and simulation platform that's specifically designed to improve employee cybersecurity awareness. Right, Scott?
Tom? Exactly. Yeah. So we've talked before about QR codes, how they sometimes can be used to lure people to malicious sites for various reasons. A lot of times it's pretty, unrealistic, in terms of the use case. Is it, what has to happen for the attack to be successful, and just kind of not very plausible in many cases. But now we're hearing stories about real cases where QR codes are being used to actually steal money. And it's really interesting. So that means it's time for our Aware Much segment. So this is where we talk about issues related to security awareness and provide tips. And as Tom mentioned, brought to you by ClickArmor, and we're helping people avoid phishing and social engineering scams using gamified awareness training and engagement. So in Austin, Houston, and San Antonio recently, police reported that miscreants have been putting stickers with QR codes on them onto parking meters. Why would they do this? Well, parking meters often have QR codes on them somewhere just for convenience these days, because you can often pay with apps now. And if you don't have the app for the particular company that is running that parking meter, then it's just nice to be able to snap the QR code, go to the app, put in your credit card information, and you're registered and you can pay right away. So it's, I've done it before. It's pretty easy and simple. But if you can trick somebody into going to a different website or downloading a different app, more likely just to a website where they would put in their payment information, then you can take their payment. And so the real problem is that it's not that easy to detect if a QR code is malicious or not. And if it's just sitting there in an official looking position on a parking meter, then you might actually click on it, or you might actually snap it and go there and enter your information. So the tip, especially if you're parking, if you come across a QR code when you're parking, is, try to at least register in advance if you can, if you know who the company is, or just search for the app or the website manually, so that you can find the reputable site that's actually supposed to be taking the payment information. But I think we're actually more likely to see QR codes used more frequently in work environments. So I'm sure this will actually become some kind of a risk in the business world, and people need to understand it both from a personal and business side. So this tip was brought to you by ClickArmor, and while many organizations have a security awareness training program in place already, what I'd like to ask is, how well are your people actually absorbing and retaining that knowledge? So this is just a little teaser for you. If you're really wondering how ClickArmor can help drive awareness and engagement on an ongoing basis after you've done the training, reach out to me at clickarmor.ca/sharedsec, SHAREDSEC, and I'll let you in on a little secret about something that we're going to be releasing very soon. Ooh. So that's it for Aware Much.
I have to ask, Tom, are you thinking Nauticon 8?
Yes, I was just going to mention this. We've done this before.
Yeah, it's not necessarily new, but it's new for most people, right? At a parking meter or at some common place where they're going to be paying for stuff.
Yeah. Well, and we talked about it. Didn't we talk about it on this show last year about the Nauticon? So what I'm talking about, yes. Scott, if you don't remember, Tom and I presented the Social Zombies, one of the Social Zombies talks. We did a bunch of them.
I remember the name. 3.
Yes. Yeah. And one of them we did at Nauticon, Nauticon 8 back in 2011, which I don't even want to talk about the fact that it was over a decade ago. Or almost a decade ago. No, dang it, it's over. Oh my gosh, it's over a decade ago. Yeah. And we presented attacks using QR codes.
Yep.
And we were told then, no, it's not that big a deal, blah, 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 blah. And I'm actually, I find it funny because just last year is the first time that I allowed marketing from Secure Ideas, flyers we hand out at a conference or whatever, to include QR codes, because I kept saying we can't use QR codes. Tom and I presented why this was bad. Yeah. People won't scan it.
So we printed out QR codes, if I remember correctly, and left them in the bathrooms.
Yes.
And it was just a QR code, and people were curious of like, what's that QR code?
What's that do?
I think it went to where did we send it to? It wasn't somewhere.
I want to say it went to Never Gonna Give You Up.
It was a Rickroll. That's right. We Rickrolled everybody at the conference.
Yeah. And people went to it. People scanned the code, and it was like, "What? You're at a conference, not a security conference." And you're scanning stuff. Well, I wanted to see what it did. Okay.
Almost as bad as going to the free Wi-Fi hotspot, right?
I don't know. I do laugh. I did a quick Google search because I couldn't remember what year it was, which Nauticon we had done that at. And I did, as we were sitting here, I typed in a Google search, and I find this hilarious. I found this website, InfoconDB, which I've never heard of. They were the first result about it, right? And I guess it's a database of presentations and conferences and stuff like that. And the bio they have listed for me under Nauticon is Kevin Johnson is a security researcher with Secure Ideas. And I'm like, I have never been called a security researcher officially in my bio.
This is a big insult to you, Kevin.
I'm like, oh my gosh. And now I'm worried. Did I send? I don't believe that I wrote that as my.
Maybe you did.
I've never used that title. I've always said as a security consultant. I don't know. I find it funny.
I'm noting this now as a new intro for you.
Yeah, no.
Thank you for that. Now I know what to say. Oh, this is great. But yeah, this story is fascinating. I see this, Scott, as like, this is a hard one to, if those stickers are blended in right, they look legit.
There's no way to know, really.
How are you going to know?
Well, let's be clear. We do an owners meeting at least twice a year here at Secure Ideas, and what we tend to do is we rent a beach house and we go in. As a matter of fact, we're going Saturday to the one this year, and every time we go to these beach towns and rent these houses, the parking meters have QR codes on them, or there's to download the app or to pay for the thing. Like that's actually how they do it. And now I will say that what I'm happy about is that the ones I've looked at, they provide a different option also that you can go and directly download. It's where it's so important to use the preview function, but even that's not perfect because right the one that says here's the link you're about to go to, when I scan a QR code on my phone, because I do, right, it actually says here's the link, and so often the links are weird links, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So you know how this is going to evolve, right? So it's going to be a cat and mouse game. So next thing will be, well, let's instead build an NFC into the parking meter so that when you just bring your phone up to it, it'll take you to that site. Of course, what's going to happen next?
Same type of
Spoofed
attack.
NFCs are going to be there overpowering whatever was on the meter.
Yeah, it's this is the problem, and more power to you with Click Armor, because the security awareness game is all never changing. It's always there.
Yep. Crazy stuff. What does it mean to go off the grid? Well, for most of us that are constantly relying on our phones, tablets, and laptops, it means shutting them off and doing some other activity like enjoying nature or spending time with friends and family. Now, you're probably a lot like me and struggle with turning off or putting down that smartphone because we always feel the need to be constantly connected. Listen, it's hard to go off the grid, but the good news is that there are products that can help. So that's why I recommend using a silent Faraday bag, which can instantly block all wireless signals, quickly taking you off the grid and giving you back control of your wireless devices. Check out their full product line at slnt.com, and because you listen to this podcast, make sure you use discount code SHAREDSECURITY at checkout to receive 10% off your order. So before we get into this next story, which is about Facebook, by the way, I did want to make kind of another announcement, not really an announcement, but just letting people know that so I have disabled the show's Facebook page and our Instagram page. And the reason is, number one, we've had very low engagement on those two platforms. It should be no surprise, maybe, because we talk a lot about Facebook and Instagram, and maybe our listeners just also just are not using those platforms.
Yeah, if they listen to us and our advice, then they're not going to be there.
So that's one theory, right? Even though I do know some listeners actually have found the show through Instagram, not necessarily Facebook, but Instagram. And I spent a lot of time posting on Instagram over the years and things like that. And we've had some people, but more so from a, do we really as a show want to be on these platforms that we typically are talking about the privacy issues, the privacy risks, things like that. So I have disabled those. We'll most likely delete them. Also, my personal Facebook has been disabled for over a year, and I'm also considering deleting that.
So he says, but I log into it regularly.
But see, that's the thing is, why do you do that, right? Because this gets into this next story about how Facebook is still collecting data about you, even though you deactivate or disable your Facebook or Instagram accounts. And I think it's important that people know that because you're still in their system. And there's still things like the Facebook pixel and cookies and other things that are calling back to Facebook. And it doesn't matter if you have your account disabled or not, that data is still being collected.
Yeah. I think so. This article to me is Chicken Little, right?
Yeah.
The sky's falling, whatever, bite me. I think that, and don't get me wrong, I think this is a problem. I think it's a problem that people deactivate their account, don't realize they deactivate their account, that they didn't delete the account. Facebook does, as this article talks about, Facebook does say when you delete your account, they keep it for 30 days to give you the option to come back. And if you come back, and that's the vagueness, right? Because so many other places use your Facebook login or Facebook information.
Yes.
Right? It's very easy during that 30-day window to say, "Oh yeah, I changed my mind. Don't delete me."
And most
Yeah.
people change their mind.
Yeah.
By the way.
One question: what about if you go to a website that is part of the Facebook ad network and it recognizes you?
If you have deleted the account and you don't interact with the Facebook stuff, if you've said delete me and you're in the 30 windows and you don't interact with the Facebook pieces, then you're fine. The problem is you go to a page and it's got this link and you click, oh, I like this page, without even realizing it. What you've done is you've liked it on Facebook, and that reactivates the deleted account. But here's my thing about this article. This article isn't about deleting accounts.
Well, it's about
contrary to what the author tries to
deactivation.
Right.
Not
the author tries to imply that he really meant to delete his account, but Facebook made that hard. And I'm not going to disagree with that or not. But here's my thing. If you deactivate your account for whatever reason, that doesn't change the data collection. And in my opinion, based on the business model of Facebook, not the, oh, they're unethical, all that kind of stuff, just what Facebook does, it shouldn't stop that collection. And the reason I say that is the author here talks about people deactivating their account because they don't want to come back. I don't believe that's true. From talking to many of the people that I've taught, friends, acquaintances, people I've taught, whatever, and myself, I have regularly deactivated my account when I knew that I needed to focus on stuff that was outside of social media, and I would not want Facebook to delete all of my stuff. And many of the people I've talked to that do the same thing, right? Hey, I'm going to take a social media vacation. I'm going to spend a month not dealing with it. Either I'm buckling down at school or at work or whatever. And here's the problem. If you are not using Facebook, but you are using the game on your phone that lets you do match 3 and is connected to Facebook and all this kind of stuff, that data is there for those apps. And while I can agree that transparency is a problem and all this kind of stuff, the collection of the data is not an issue, in my opinion, because you are the user. You have done that. And if I haven't downloaded all of my pictures and everything else that I've posted, when I deactivate the account, I don't want those things to go away. So I'm not saying it's okay they collect it. I'm not saying it's fine and privacy be damned. But I am saying that could we start, not we, the three of us, but we, the reporters and the media and social media and all this kind of stuff, could we stop sounding off on useless things that people should know? Could we actually start paying attention to the real problems? Could we actually focus on the fact that, hey, when you tell Facebook you want to delete your account, they give you 30 days, but they make it almost impossible to make it to the 30 days.
Yeah.
That's a problem to focus
It's
on.
a problem.
Yeah.
Right? When they say that they've deactivated your stuff and they're not collecting it, if they violate GDPR or other privacy stuff, let's talk about that. Let's focus on that. Let's focus on the fact that these social media sites are doing things that are bad, but we undermine that entire complaint. Not the three of us, right? But we're undermining
Just Kevin.
Just Kevin. We're undermining the actual attempts to fix things, right? EFF does really, really great work. Let's have EFF focus on the things they focus on, right? What happens with these things is we've got a reporter who, in my opinion, is ignorant about how technology works. And I want to reiterate, because every time I use the word ignorant on Facebook or social media, people think it's an insult.
Yeah.
Ignorance is not an insult. Yeah. Ignorance just means you don't know, right? If you're stupid, which would be the reporters that work for Vice, but if you're stupid, that means you had the opportunity to know and you rejected that opportunity to know. This reporter, in my opinion, is ignorant. He or she, I don't know, and so I don't want to be rude, but they wrote an article because they were surprised by something that happened because they didn't pay attention.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that it was easy for them to pay attention or whatever, but this to me was a temper tantrum article. Well, I'll show you. You keep my data and collect it. I and, and I think it's made worse because in the article, the reporter talks about the fact that, well, and most normal people would not have this, but I talk to the communications department of Facebook on a regular basis as a reporter, so I was able to do this. Well, if you're talking to the communication department of Facebook on a regular basis, maybe you should have read the damn screen when you deactivated your account.
Yeah, I think this is, there are a whole bunch of issues here that, and just to sort of distill it down from the point of view of people who could make use of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
It's really, there's the usage of the site that you have to understand the terms of service and what they can do or can't do with your login information and things that you explicitly do on the site. But then there's also the terms of service of belonging to their whole data sharing and data collection network.
Off Facebook data collection is how they refer to it.
Yeah. So just to make sure people are aware of that distinction.
Yeah, that's important. Understand that. Yep. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and there is a setting that off Facebook data, essentially, and you can turn that off.
Yep.
I mean, I recommend turning that off by default, even if you are using Facebook actively.
Yeah.
It's called off Facebook activity.
There's so many sort of weird and possibly scary things that they may be doing. Once you set up an account, it's probably very difficult to find in the fine print how and why or when you can literally stop them from doing anything more with your data, right? I mean,
no, I disagree, Scott. It's not.
You don't think so?
And I know I've read the terms of service.
Okay. Oh yeah, you're the one that does that. Yeah.
The deletion of your account is not a hard thing to find.
No, but what happens to all the data?
No, if you delete your account, the data goes away.
Yeah, it does. They have to by law.
You delete your, the problem is not finding it, not knowing that they're not doing it. The problem is they make it almost impossible to successful
on purpose
delete your account.
They do that,
right? That's that 30-day window. Yeah. When you say, "Hey, I want to delete it," they're like, "Okay, we'll delete it in 30 days." That way, you have an opportunity to come back, and that's what gets people. Is that it's somebody sends you a link and you click it without thinking about it. Yeah. Somebody says, "Hey, did you see that video I posted?" Whatever, whatever, and they stop the timer and they cancel the deletion request, and that they make that clear to you, but not.
Yeah, right? What I was thinking of was, the more obscure things like where vendors who are part of the Facebook ad network can upload stuff from their website somehow. I've seen this in, the settings where you can see what merchants or companies have contributed data, right, and has become part of your profile. So all that kind of mechanism, if it's true that when you delete your account, all that stuff goes away and they don't share anymore or accept any more data, then that's probably not a bad thing.
Yeah, I guess it's just so interesting to me that there's so many similarities between Facebook and the tobacco industry, or at least the tobacco industry of the the 80s and the 90s, that before all the lawsuits, right, of deceptive advertising and cover-ups about cigarettes are healthy for you. In fact, on Reddit just the other day, I saw an ad with John Wayne from the 1950s saying, 9 out of 10 doctors smoke Camel cigarettes. Because it was promoted as a healthy activity. Doctors were on board because they were paid off or whatever. I find it very similar in some ways that we say social media, or I see Facebook's new campaign, their ad campaigns on TV and everywhere else, where we're the kinder, gentler Facebook that cares about your privacy, and we care about your data, and you could delete it anytime, and you don't have to be part of our metaverse and our ecosystem. But in reality, these are kind of deceptions that they fooled people into believing. And as we've seen in like movies like The Social Dilemma and other documentaries, that their sole purpose, like the tobacco industry, is to make money. And we have to remember that when we use these
things. Yeah,
I think that's the biggest problem, that people just lose. And we've talked about this before, right? It's I lose sight of the fact that that's a company behind it that is paying people and making profits and doing stuff like that. I just see it as a collection of my friends that talk back and forth, right?
And most of us do. Absolutely. We use it for that purpose. But it's interesting.
And that blurring.
It is.
It's worth having this deep discussion once in a while.
That's right. This is a deep discussion. Oh, yes. These are the things that you find on the Shared Security Show, by the way.
That's it.
Deep, important,
infamous people.
This is why you two are infamous, because of conversations like this.
Okay.
Right. No capes, but
no capes, just apes. Yeah. But is it no apes, just capes?
Like, if they were stolen,
can we flip that around?
Well, at the end of our last show, I thought you said no capes.
I said no capes, just apes. And then a listener actually commented on our YouTube channel that should be a t-shirt. And now I'm actually considering it, but I'm flipping it around because you guys are the capes. I introduced you as superheroes.
Yeah. Oh, I think that's fair.
You an ape?
Sure.
Okay.
We'll figure it out. But
the ape with the circle through it. And,
no apes. Definitely. And that's NFT apes, by the way.
NFT apes, yeah.
Oh,
we have nothing against real apes.
What was it? Something yacht club?
Yes, the Ape Yacht Club NFTs. Yes. Yeah. So, all right, guys. Well, I think that's all we have for this week. But thank you.
All people can stand.
That's all. That's all we can take after that serious Facebook conversation. We're gonna end the show now. But thanks, guys, and we will talk to all of you next week.
See you next time.
That's all for this week's show. Visit our website, sharedsecurity.net, for all previous episodes and to sign up for our email newsletter. Looking for Shared Security merch? Be sure to check out our online store at store.sharedsecurity.net. Don't forget, you can always find us on Twitter at SharedSec, and please hit that like and subscribe button below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week for another episode of the Shared Security Show.